हेलो फ्रेंड्स। ये एग्रीकल्चर का एंटोमोलॉजी स्टार्ट करने जा रहे हैं, जिसमें हम एग्रीकल्चर का एंटोमोलॉजी का प्रैक्टिकल का सिलेबस कंप्लीट करने जा रहे हैं। स्टार्ट करते हैं एक्सरसाइज नंबर 1 से। विजिट टू मेट्रोलॉजिकल ऑब्जर्वेटरी, ऑटोमेटिक वेदर रिपोर्टिंग स्टेशन। Object: to study the types of agrometeorological observatories and installation of instruments. Role of agricultural meteorology: to study the climate, microclimate, forecasting, crop geometry, remote sensing in upper air observations, meteorological applications. Agromet observatories are specialized observatories to record data in crop environment required to understand crop climate interactions and are different from those set up in cities and aerodrome. Agromet observatories are set up by Agricultural Meteorological Division of India (IMD), Pune, or by SAU State Agricultural Universities, research institutes, or by interested organizations. Objects of agrometeorological observatory: to study the effects of relationship of various weather elements on growth and development stages of different crops, also to study the effect of weather and climatic factors on incidence of insect pests in field as well as in storage of agricultural produce. Procedure: for the installation of agrometeorological observatory, the basic knowledge of: first, classification of agrometeorological observatories; second, selection of site and location; next, plan of layouts; next, instrumental observations, installation, exposure of instruments and reading of data; नेक्स्ट नॉन इंस्ट्रूमेंटल ऑब्जर्वेशंस, नेक्स्ट है हमारा रिकॉर्डिंग ऑब्जर्वेशंस ऑन प्लांट्स, hours and order of observation, recording and transmitting the data, standard periods and weeks. नेक्स्ट पॉइंट है हमारा क्लाइमेटिक डाटा ऑफ द स्टेशन एंड रीजन. नेक्स्ट पॉइंट है हमारा नेटवर्क ऑफ इंडिया मेट्रोलॉजिकल डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ ऑब्जर्वेटरीज इज इसेंशियल. Effect of weather and climate on incidence of insect pest. The population system of animals depends on the action of 5 components: climate, food, space, and other animals of different sorts, and the population itself, and other population of the same species acting through the pathways of natality, mortality, and dispersal. The insects are capable to maintain constant body temperature and have to rely on temperature of their surrounding. Temperature is most unfortunate factor during abundance of stored insects. Man-made system equally vary with regard to permanence, isolation, and diversity. Nevertheless, in respect of certain features, they generally differ from natural ecosystem. In man-made system, too, there is an effect of climate through always of limited duration. Climate plays an important role in determining the pest population in food storing region. The storage ecosystem differs from natural ecosystem, being closed ecosystem where space and food is limited. The dispersal of insects is also limited within the closed ecosystem. This may be grouped in one, unprotected exposure to atmosphere in threshing yards. Secondly, with minimum protection, for example, bags and earthen bins. And thirdly, protected environment. The last one has adequate protection from external weather conditions, that is natural ecosystem, for example large grain bins, warehouses, etc. The most favorable temperature for stored grain insect development and reproduction of insects is about 26.7 degrees Celsius. The reproduction of insect paste of stored grain is almost below 21 degrees Celsius and above 35 degrees Celsius. Thus, insects become less active as temperature decreases, cease feeding, and may die kept under temporary storage conditions have maximum climatic effect. Less than open heaps as they are kept under temporary covers. Since majority of insect pests do not breed below 20 degrees Celsius, the question of infestation in cold and polar region does not seem to occur. The best place for good threshold and development in the tropical region, where temperature coupled with humidity creates conductive ecosystem for insect development. Climatic effects are related to food of insects. The moisture increase in grain or food of insects encourages insects population through very high moisture conditions are lethal to some insects. Farmers dries up the grains to a level of 9 to 10%, but after 6 months of storage in mud bins and stores where sufficient barrier for moisture ingress is not used, moisture is absorbed getting an access through porous structure. Similarly, moisture is evaporated from stored grain. There are clearly shown effects of climatic variations and very aptly advocated that infestation of stored grain is a complex process which is preceded and followed by equally complex interactions of cereals with a diverse array of abiotic and biotic variables to prevent and control insect infestations. Measurements and manipulations of climatic variables can be crucial because all pest infestations of stored cereals occur against a background of cereal climate relationships. The climatic data bionomics of insects pests in relations to grain production for prediction of insect pest occurrence is the prime need for pest management system and control of insect pest. For long term storage, insect control is inescapable in any climate. It requires more care than short and seasonal storage, and consequently it is up to regarded as necessarily more expensive when once the length of storage is decided, which is very essential for tropical regions than temperate regions. It needs pre-planning where the method and type of storage can be appropriately planned. Another most important point to be accounted is the condition of the grain and the environment in which the grain is to be stored. At certain times, due to unfavorable unforeseen rains, grain is harvested at high moisture content or absorbs moisture after being harvested in tropics. Such occasion faced in seldom but in temperate regions, grain is generally stored at high moisture levels. The rate at which grain losses weight and extent to which various types of spoilage occur depend on moisture content and temperature during storage. Grain at 15% moisture and temperature 12 to 22 degrees Celsius will be safe from risk of damage except for the risk of mite infestation. The grain dried down to 12% moisture contents and cooled will make the grain safe even from mite infestation. What should be safe moisture and temperature and what should be the method of storage can be decided by giving a planned thinking beforehand. The advancement in civilization also give an advanced knowledge. Considerable crop losses caused due to pests in the humid and subhumid tropics. Many of the restrictions on productivity and geographical distribution of plants and animals are imposed by pests and diseases. The geographical distribution of pests is mainly based on climatic factors. The climatic conditions show a gradient from place to place, and there is a related gradient in the abundance of a particular pest. The periodic and seasonal nature of incidents and outbreaks of several pests of many crops can be ascribed to weather conditions as as the triggering factors. The migration and dispersion of insect pests depends on the wind speed and direction Besides the nature of air currents, some plant pathogenic viruses suitable for the development of his vectors for the transmission of such diseases. Survival of pests which infest plants are kept in check by seasonal fluctuations in atmospheric temperature and relative humidity and other weather factors. Insect pest outbreaks occur as a result of congenial weather conditions which facilitate their uninterrupted multiplication. The weather and climate greatly influence the quality and quantity of food provided by the host crops to the associated species of pests. The abundance of occurrence of the pest species is thus dependent on climatic conditions indirectly also. The surface air temperature, relative humidity, dewfall, sunshine, cloud amount, wind, rainfall, and their pattern and distribution are the primary weather factors influencing the incidence or outbreaks of pests and diseases of crops in the humid tropics and weather variables, namely outbreaks of pests, the impact of various weather components on pests and diseases is experienced in the location and crop specific manner. Among the major pests associated with crops, insects, mites, and nematodes, species are of a serious nature or in terms of their abundance and damage potential. If the occurrence of pests in the time and space can be predicted in advance with reasonable accuracy on the basis of relevant weather parameters, appropriate and timely control measures can be programmed. Appropriate insecticide interventions can certainly reduce the pesticide load in the environment and the related pollution and health hazards. Exercise number second, study of terrestrial and pond ecosystem of insects.